Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Makuna Man at YouTube with another Q&A session. Last week it was requested you guys fielded some questions to me. This week we answer them. With all further ado, we'll get straight into it and we'll probably have more banter and whatnot at the end. Roger Ball. What's the best way you've found to remove mould seam lines from ribbed Gundam tubes, especially in between the ribs? Tried using panel line tool but haven't been able to get a nice clean finish. Thanks and looking forward to your 2017 session. Thank you very much, Roger. I was quite excited for this question. It's very good. It's something I've been playing around. Normally when we get those little flash lines or mould lines where the two halves of the mould goes together, injects the plastic and you get this really fine line sticking out. It's not too bad bare plastic, but once paint goes on it and especially washes, it looks quite horrendous. So some people remove them. What I normally do is, most of those is always done with sandpaper. I start with a low grit and I go up to a high grit, and it's always sandpaper folded in half. But with those ribs, I shove the folded bit of sandpaper right in between the rib and sand it out. If it doesn't fit, I unfold it and I only have it as a half and just sand half, flip it, sand it the other half until the two sides, the mould line is gone. Using a hobby knife and carving the line out is also possible. If you're looking at what's the quickest way of doing it, there's no real quick way of doing it. It's just taking your time, removing it and having it nice and clean if you wish to do a clean job. Sanding does get rid of it quickly, but if you're dealing with multiple ribbed parts on your Gundam kits, you're in for the long haul. But knowing that if you place your kit next to someone who's snapped it or overlooked it, yours will be quite noticeable in being baby clean in that section. So sandpaper is probably the best way to go. Hobby knife if it's just super fine. And that's the way around it. Joseph. Hello again, Alan. Do you recommend using polyurethane clear coat, non-yellowing as a gloss clear coat instead of using Tamiya or Mr. Color clear coat? I saw many Japanese modelers use it. Any idea? The trend is, and I've been seeing these memes on Facebook and whatnot, where for metallic finishes, using lacquer or acrylic alcohol-based paints, if you just chuck it through an airbrush and blast it on with minimal thinning, it sort of frosts up the metallics a bit. Where if you use the polyurethane, it dries very clear, it sits very clear, and it just gives your model that showroom look. We've demonstrated here before on this channel, if you do use your Tamiya clears or your lacquer clears, your alcohol clears, you thin it down further and maybe add a bit of retardant, you get the same results. If you're a big fan of polyurethane, it's okay. The problem with polyurethane is it scratches, chips and lifts very easily through masking or handling. It's just got no durability whatsoever, even though it dries very clear. If you do a little preparation to the other types of clear, i.e. thinning it down a heap, it can look just as wonderful. I've always not been a big fan of polyurethane, so I would say nah. But with those two bits of information to get you the exact same results of a very clear coat to make a wet look finish, you'll be fine. Cake 756. Don't know if it has been asked before. Doesn't matter if we repeat questions here, so it's okay. How do you keep your built kits? My guess is you will need to buy a new house just to display them. I am actually in the market of expanding into a larger house in the very short term future. So the relocation of this studio is going to be quite imminent, and I'll either have to build up a stock of footage to keep posting or do something. I don't know how I'll handle that. But what I normally do is the shelf behind me is where my favourite latest builds are displayed, and they're quick and easy to transport to competitions, displays, whatnot. Once a build's been there for a little too long, I package it in a box and I put it in storage, plastic crates, put them in the attic. And one day I would like to have a few glass cabinets and just have all my favourite builds out, but not every single build. So I look at some of my older ones and go, well, that's a bit cringy, that's not as good as where I put my standards at the moment. So yeah, some of my tiny Gunpla Builders World Cup entries and my very best build is in another glass cabinet in the house. And sometimes models get cycled through in there, but yeah, that's how it goes. I only have very little displayed at any given time, and it just goes into storage. Dismantled, wrapped in bubble wrap, stacked on top of each other in a plastic crate. Doesn't matter if it rains, if someone kicks it around, if there's rats or whatever. They're well protected. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. Markin Sutra. Is it safe to airbrush using acrylic paint without a spray booth? Look, there's different levels of hazard. Lacquers, obviously, breathed in too long is going to give you long-term health issues quickly. Acrylics, the alcohol-based ones as well as the polyurethane-based ones claim to be quite safe and whatnot. And the Vallejo people go as far as claiming they can drink a bottle of it. It shows that how safe it is. It's all got chemicals. Anything that's airborne in vapor that's not water or particle is harmful to your respiratory system. I would say no matter what, having a mask or a spray booth and spraying at a low PSI is pretty much mandatory regardless of the type of paint. The only difference is the residual odour that you're sending outside, or that might escape in tiny amounts, will peeve off the people that you live with or you're around or whatnot. So look, just treat everything as harmful, and that's the way to do it. That's how they do it in industry and occupational health and safety and whatnot. Don't take risks with your health. You want to live for a very long time and model and cause problems instead of 20, 30 years down the road having some sort of bronchitis problem or lung problem or something. Lon 242. Hey Alan, I've been trying to start this year with a handful of projects I've been putting off for too long. Here are some questions. I'm trying to do the same. It's a good time of year at the start to get your shelf queens, where models that you've started, you put on the shelf, you haven't quite finished, and you just got way too many projects on the go without them being finished. Why not at the start of the year? 1. I recently built a Bandai A-Wing, which has a very noticeable gate mark on its clear canopy. I sanded the mark down and polished it back up to clear, but a week or so later the sanded area got all cloudy, I guess from oxidization. Am I right in thinking a clear gloss coat over this area would help? Do you have any tips in dealing with gate marks on clear parts? Now, when you polish it, when you use polishes, you need to clean the part thoroughly, or otherwise it will fog up, and I've seen it occur on actually coloured parts. So normally you would sand, you'd sand to 2000, 4000 grit, whatever. For clear bits, the higher the grit the better, and then you'll do your polishing. The idea is after that is you clean it in soapy detergent water, and any residual crap that the polish has left over is not going to dry and cause crap. So what I would recommend is wash it, and if that doesn't work, polish it again, rinse it, leave it for a few days, and I'll guarantee you it stays clear. And even though it stays clear, give it a gloss coat anyway. Now, if you want to just jump straight to the gloss clear and see it clear up, that's okay. Do that. If it still remains cloudy, soak it in some bleach, and then start again, polish, wash it, gloss clear, and it will stay beautifully crystal clear. Question 2. Have you had any positive experience with acrylic poly primers? I know you haven't had much luck with Vallejo, which is also the polyurethane stuff. What about MIG ammo or AK, or is it lacquer primer all the way for you? Vallejo is one of the finest polyurethane polyprimers out there. The MIG ammo, AK, all that sort of stuff is practically the same formula. You can almost mix and match. They're all wonderful for hand painting. The colours are very vibrant. The primers, they just have to be the primers just have to be lacquer for me. I just don't like the idea that if I want to have articulated points, if I want to mask, polyurethanes just do not grip or etch or bite into the plastic. It just sits there. It covers itself like a latex covering, or just something sitting on top of a surface. Once you put tape, liquid mask, even humble blue tack, it just lifts it straight up. So that's quite unsatisfactory for my style of modelling. So I do want to play around with some MIG ammo, or at least do a review video, since it's finally available in my country now. But I'm not going to be doing a big swap to it, so I might paint a tank or something on top of a lacquer primed surface. 3. I've recently begun experimenting with cementing a Gunpla's pose in place prior to painting, and was wondering if my method of doing so was correct, or if it could be done better. First, to cement the kit's arm and legs in the pose I want. They're all still detachable from the upper torso, waist via the main large poly cup. I prime the part, detail them from there, kind of similar to an oversized action figure. I don't prime and paint each part individually. This way it's all sort of done in mass. My airbrush trigger finger thanks me for this, especially when it comes to MGs. What do you think? Any thought or advice? It's fine. I mean, when I've done some models where I wanted to be in a fixed pose, I've done similar. Sometimes I've glued them after painting, sometimes before half. If it works out, fantastic. Now notice if you have it stuck in one part or one position, there are some joints and articulated points where there's large gaps that are a bit ugly. You can have a bit more fun and play around with them. So if you got like a shoulder and an arm coming out and a polycap inside, and you want to have some nice interesting detail, you can ram some putty in there and make it look like a dust cover. You can add more mechanical detail inside by gluing some little struts or hydraulics or something. So have a bit of play with those areas. Sometimes they can be a bit Spartan of detail, but you can go crazy with your dust covers, with all sorts of things. Just have a lot of fun with those joints, and when people look at it, they'll just think, wow, there's just a little more detail, a little more interest. So be playful. If your style works, you finish a model, you're quite happy in the speed and the way that it's come out, perfect. And it sounds like you got a handle on it, so all good. I'm going to scroll down a bit more. Thanks, Alan. Hope you don't mind the long questions. I never mind them at all. They're quite good. They fill out the video. Looking to expand my modelling skills in 2017. Modelling New Year's resolutions are always, that's the way to go. You don't get as disappointed with real life resolutions. With your help, have a good one. Lon, thank you very much for your support over the years, and thank you for your continual watch and support as well. You've been with me for a while, and I wish you your best in your development, and whenever you need help, you know where I am, and that goes with everyone else. John Yusko, when painting chrome, they say to use gloss black base, but I've also heard of people using other gloss colours like white. Does it matter? It does matter. When light reflects off the surface, how much it reflects or absorbs. Light likes to be absorbed into black, but when it's gloss, it also reflects. So when you place a metallic finish on it and it's on a dark surface, it gives it that deeper mirror shimmery shine. Now other people are known for doing different undercoats with different colours. When you do tanks and World War II stuff, you're going to do a silver, or for aircraft a silver undercoat. For tanks an oxidised red or brown undercoat, as that's what the sort of primers they have, and it's the colour that comes through that looks a lot more realistic. So it depends on the type of finish you want for your chrome or whatever colour you're painting. What I suggest you do is set up a series of spoons or parts or a surface where you try many different undercoats, spray that being chrome, spray chrome over it, have a look, have a compare, see what you like. Keep in mind where you want a slight shimmer or a heavy shimmer. Gloss black is always the best if you want to have your shiniest, most spectacular finish, but sometimes you want something a bit more dulled, and that's okay. Noticeable colours that are really good for undercoats. White is not that crash hot. I would not recommend it for metallics. But have a play with pink, brown and yellow. They can dish out some really, really interesting results, or really dark colours that almost go black at a high gloss. So a really dark grey or a dark blue or dark red, and then you put metallic over it. That sort of taints the colour. It affects how the light reflects off it. Pigments and paints tend to be a bit translucent. They're a bit clear. So whatever you put over it, you can slightly see what's under it. That's how the light reflects off. And playing around with the different undercoats can be really beneficial and really, really interesting. So it does matter. You could just do black or white, or you could take advantage and just go crazy and do something. Do your own experiments, and you get an idea what you want to do. DaCosta, who also has a YouTube channel, it's probably worth checking out. Good idea, this video. It's good to know that there are people who like to help others. Cheers, my friends. Thank you very much, DaCosta. I do what I do. It's a popular segment, and glad you like it. If you wish to try it on your channel, go for it. It's not an original idea to me whatsoever. Robot Adventures, my good mate Ruben from Japan. Why do you hate HLJ? I saw a few of the videos they made, and they seem like weirdos. I think they had a boss build section, but it was pretty much just advertising for the store. So I haven't seen any videos in a long time. A lot of my personal friends know that for many, many years I've got this love-hate relationship with HobbyLink Japan. They've caused me and my hobby club and hobby friends in the club some problems, and did something a bit unethical. Won't talk about it too much, but since I've been working closer to Hobbyco, who's the Bandai distribution in Australia, we've been going more of the line of supporting brick and mortar stores. buying kits that are from the local distribution, because a lot of the money that goes back to them are reinvested in the Australian branch of the Gunpla Builders World Cup, support of grassroots activities that promote the hobby, hobby competitions and prize competitions such as the mid-year thing. Now, the HobbyLink TV, I've never had any beef with. Anyone that goes out with the intention to review, help and add content to the community is fine, no problems. I watch it for a short period of time. They sort of targeted to the lowest common denominator, beginners and snappers and whatnot, so people that are most likely to buy their product. And they try to upsell or supplement things that improve your model with exclusively what they have in stock, so they wouldn't recommend something that they don't have, or they wouldn't quite recommend the cheaper method because the idea is to sell more units. Yeah, it was okay. I watched a little bit at the very beginning. They hosted some of my content on their small social media HobbyLink TV main page thingy. I don't know if that flopped or what. They still do it on YouTube from my understanding. I sometimes see ads and whatnot. The boss build was really, really good. That gentleman, Scott, is a decent modeler, and he did like cars and some whatnot, and he just talk about how he builds, assembles, polish, paints, airbrush, all that sort of jazz. So that was a really, really good segment. But I haven't watched it in a very, very long time because it just got a bit repetitive and whatnot, and people watched it to see the latest unboxings of kits and little hacks and tips and all that. And people like it. That's fine. That's not for me. But they do what they do. Which I might be getting in trouble. Like, they might see this or hear about this, but yeah, I do agree it is a bit goofy. But they have their own style and they do what they do. I respect that. I just have trouble with how they approach and sponsor clubs, and just trying to support brick and mortar stores over stuff being sold overseas, so they won't be getting any sponsorship from me, because I've talked shit about them over the years, as well as support. Okay, my real question is, as always, a joke and a question. I think I asked it before. I like the iridescent paints, or I would assume that you're going for the pearlescent paints that changes colour based on the angle and light source. Where can I get that, or how can I spray it? There are two types. There's a solid colour done by Mr. Hobby, and there'll be Mr. Hobby pearlescents, and they have a very, very limited amount of colours. It's in your normal Mr. Colour jars, and that just sprays like a normal paint. It's got its undercoat, it's got its top coat, and it is what it is. If you wish to do your own custom mixes, you airbrush and spray your model whatever you want, and you buy a Mr. Crystal Colour, which, having my paint jar here, or paint drawer here, will look like this. There's about like 9-10 of them. They all have different colours, and they spray clear. You can see that it's got a milky consistency, and when you move it around you can see the sheen. This is sapphire. So it's a beautiful, beautiful blue. It almost looks like a force field on some things. So what you do is you heavily thin it, probably 3 to 4 parts thinner to 1 part paint. So you put in a little vessel, pour a tiny bit, pour 4 times the amount of thinner, give her a good old mix, and you just coat your whole kit with it. It will give it a slight, almost metallic frost to it, and then every angle you look at it, it's normal colour to an intense blue or red or yellow or whatever colour you get. It's really cool. The thicker you spray it, the more intense it is, so when you turn it, the more intense that colour will be, and I've done it quite thick and polished it up hard, and it's come out to become really, really, really cool. It's pretty awesome over decals, so when you turn and you look at a different angle, the decals disappear and it's that colour, and then when you look flat on, the colour and camouflage and details and whatnot appear as well as the decals, or you can put the decals and panel lines on top. Doesn't matter. It's very cool. It's lacquer, goes through the airbrush really, really well. It's crystal colour. You're a smart fella. I would just buy a bottle, have a bit of a play. I've been using it for a very long time. Amazing, amazing product. You should find it anywhere in Japan with the Mr. Colour range. You know, your Yodo Bashi and all that. All those other hobby shops should be selling them. They're a little more expensive, but you get the double the quantity of paint as you get with the normal 10mm amounts. So there you go. Now for everyone else, Robot Adventures is playing with a 3D printer and laser cutter, and he has declared that he wants to make a transformable Transformer or Gundam or toy or something by building it in a frame, putting screws together and adding details and whatnot to it. Paraphrasing what he said. So he's already got videos where he's talked about the theories, unboxed his 3D printer, made modifications to that particular model. It's really good if you're looking into 3D printing, and I haven't made too much content of late and you want to see another hobbyist scale modeler, someone playing with a 3D printer, go have a look down at what Ruben's doing. His content can be a bit brazen, crass and more loaded on the humour side. It's very funny. I thoroughly enjoy it, and a lot of people that know me more personal and my sense of humour, you'll love Robot Adventures. He's really cool. He hates children and Republicans. If you visit him, you may get a stern warning at the start of the videos. And if you go back a bit in his catalogue, he's done a couple of Gundams, but a lot of Star Wars kits. That is also worth looking at. They're very, very good reviews. Just consider who's around in the room as you're watching those videos. Ruben and I will remember when we were Skyping, my brother walked in and go, you know, what's going on? Who's this guy? What the hell are you talking about? So that's all in all. Last question of the day, Joseph again. He asked this on another video, but we transferred it across because it's a very, very good question. Do you have any idea what is the best painting spray booth in the market? Any suggestions? Thank you always, and keep up your great job. Again, Joseph, thank you very much. Now, the best one I've ever used, behind me I've got the Sparmax. It is a really big booth, probably one of the biggest booths you can get, and it works quite well. You set it up, you leave it there, you paint at a low PSI, use a carbon cut filter at the very back, corrugated cardboard at the front instead of the existing Sparmax filter, and it would last forever, and the carbon filter can be changed yearly for next to nothing. That's really good if you want something big and permanent, but the best one I've ever used is slightly smaller. It's the eBay Chinese import suitcase extractor booth that goes anywhere between $100 to $200 after US shipping and fees and all that sort of jazz. It is the cheapest one on the market, but it's the best one. It folds up to a suitcase. You can transport it, store away if you don't have a permanent hobby area. This, unfortunately, it has to be in a permanent area. It has a standard filter that's very, very easy to change, and it's just really, really cheap and effective. It works just as well as the Sparmax. You're paying about a third to half of the cost, and it folds up. It's on eBay. Only downside is because you're buying it from a warehouse in Hong Kong or China or the manufacturer, it's going to take more than a month for it to arrive to your destination. Though in the end, it's very, very worthwhile checking out. There's another model that's a bit cheaper and a bit smaller. It's all black. It's garbage. Don't touch that. Get the one that looks like the suitcase. I'll put a link down below, and that should work. Shout out time. There's a new YouTuber that's doing Gundam content called Lincoln. He used to live in Japan, and he did Hobby Japan submissions of the Maschinen Krieger models. He's very, very famous over there and a very, very well-known modeler. is passing all of his Mission Krieger style of weathering in video format. I've watched some of it, recommended it to my friends. Really great guy, so check that out. Comment section down below. Gunpla Builders Australia is started the year with a super challenge, weathering. If you are in Australia, you're looking for prizes, a competition or something, check it out to have a look at the awesome work. There's a lot more members in Gunpla Builders Australia, very competitive. Some great work that's coming out, so that's worth looking at. Gundam Club Australia is also doing a parallel competition group build for Mecha Musume and Armoured Girls or Mecha Girls. Their competition is open up to Oceanic, so if you live in New Zealand, Australia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Japan, any of those sort of countries, you can enter and be eligible for a prize, which is really awesome. I know I've got a lot of followers out there, so we've got an Australian competition aimed at you guys. Have a look at that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And in the way of It's a Gundam is doing a really big competition on Facebook. I think it's the Margin Cup, so Gunpla Builders World Cup rules. That also has a prize pool, so have a look at that. Just type in It's a Gundam on Facebook if I forget to put the link down below. And that's everything. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned. A bit of a self shout out. We have Facebook. On Facebook, this is where I put all of my pictures and latest works and whatnot on there, what I'm currently working on. All of my latest videos go on there. Any sort of content, you'll see it go there. So in case YouTube's being funny or Twitch is being funny or anything's being funny, everything's posted on Facebook. So click on the Facebook link, have a bit of a look, a squander, whatever. That's almost at 1,000 followers, so that's pretty cool. YouTube, same goes, 2 uploads a week until that starts to get a bit exhausting, and we'll dial back to 1 upload a week. Twitch, I did a Twitch stream yesterday, so I'm attempting to do that once a week. I got raided by the local Twitch community, and they've given me a heap of followers and incentive to keep coming back and keep working at that, so that's really cool. So the last stream wasn't too bad. There was times where it got a bit quiet, no one was in the room, and I was a bit quiet and panned it on. We had some mates, Jimbo, come along, had a bit of a laugh, and we also had the raid, and that went into very heavy question and answer sessions. And last, Patreon, if you feel inclined to donate or support things, that is definitely a revenue to open. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Catch you later.